Now, could one of you speak so I could see if I'm hearing you?
Hare Krishna. Hare
Oh,
Krishna.
I hear you. Yeah.
Okay, we are now live on YouTube, so feel free to go ahead
Hare Krishna.
and start the transcendental show.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I would like to call today's talk Receiving Lord Chaitanya's Mercy. Of course, we all want to receive Lord Chaitanya's mercy. But there's a process by which. Have you ever thought Lord Chaitanya is described as the most munificent avatar? He's distributing, sharing what no other incarnation has ever even offered before. There are unlimited incarnations in which the Lord appears, but he's never offered how to love Krishna with the emotional feelings, with the heart of the residents of Vrindavan. Only Lord Chaitanya has done that. And he's giving it freely. So the question arises. It's an amazing question that I asked for so many years to myself. And I asked others too. The question is, if Lord Chaitanya is distributing this kind of mercy so freely, why don't I have it? Why have I not received it? Lord Chaitanya is distributing this love of Krishna. Of course, I'm engaging in my sadhana. I'm doing my practices, trying to be, but I'm not receiving. But I don't have this ecstatic love of God. So what is? So that's the question. So I thought to write. The different things have occurred to me, and I thought to write or to create this class, the subject being receiving Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So I looked up a lot of material and I have it printed here. This is from Adi Lila, chapter 4, verses 15 and 16. The Lord's desire, he's talking about Lord Chaitanya, the Lord's desire to appear. This is Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. The Lord's desire to appear was born from two reasons. He wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of love of God, and he wanted to propagate devotional service in the world on the platform of spontaneous attraction. Thus, he is known as supremely jubilant and as the most merciful at all. So let's let's put that in our own words again. That Lord Chaitanya appeared for two reasons. One, he wanted to understand. Well, there's one verse that goes, desiring to understand the glories of Srimati Radharani's love, how the wonderful qualities in him that Srimati Radharani enjoys more than anybody else, and the happiness that Srimati Radharani feels when she experiences the sweetness of Lord Krishna's love. Well, Lord Chaitanya says, I'm so ecstatic and so blissful, but Srimati Radharani, her devotional ecstasy is greater than mine. I want to understand her feeling. So that's one of the reasons that Lord Chaitanya, that Krishna appears as Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani, because he wants to experience what it's like to love Krishna. Krishna wants to experience the emotional ecstasy of what it's like to love Krishna. He wants that. So this verse says the Lord's desire to appear was born for two reasons: that he wanted to taste the sweet essence of this love of God, because it surpasses his own experience of being God. And he also wanted to propagate devotional service in the world. He wanted to share these feelings with everybody. He didn't only want it for himself, he wanted also everyone to have it. So that's what this verse is saying. So then Adi Lila 4:17, here this is Krishna thinking to himself. This is very interesting, that Krishnadas Kaviraj, he's telling us how Krishna in Krishna Loka is thinking. Here's what Krishna is thinking to himself. He's saying, all the universe is filled with the conception of my majesty, but love, weakened by that sense of majesty, it doesn't satisfy me. Let's put that in our own words. Krishna is thinking that everybody has on veneration, that God is so great. And like the people in Vaikuntha, like the souls in Vaikuntha, they always remember that there are Krishna's tiny parts and parcels, and Krishna is God. They see him as Lord Vishnu, and they're all full of awe and veneration. So Krishna is thinking that in this material world, the whole universe is filled with the conception of my majesty. Oh, God is so great. But love weakened by that sense of majesty, it doesn't satisfy. Krishna doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't enjoy everyone's saluting, standing at attention and saying, you're so great. And no, he wants to be loved, just like Mother Jashoda chases Krishna with a stick. And Krishna's actually, by the influence of the Maya of the spiritual world, he feels like a little boy, and he knows that Mother Yashoda's chasing me, and, and he feels scared, but he enjoys her love. He doesn't want people to he doesn't want this. He doesn't enjoy the spirit souls being so much filled with feelings of great respect and veneration. But he really enjoys so much when they relate to him just like we relate to our family members and our friends. And so he says in next verse, Adi Lila. Now we're going to chapter 3. We were in chapter 4. And Krishnadas Kaviraj says, may that Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, Lord Chaitanya, may he be transcendentally situated in the innermost core of your heart. He's saying that we should be meditating on Lord Chaitanya in our heart and see him dancing in ecstasy. He's resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, Lord Chaitanya's complexion. He has appeared in this age of Kali by his causeless mercy in order to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most elevated mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. So in this verse, Krishna is saying that specifically Lord Chaitanya wants to share how Srimati Radharani and the gopis love him. And he wants to share that with everybody. He wants us to understand that feeling of loving Krishna in the conjugal mood. Amazing. It said, Krishna says, he has descended by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most elevated mellow of devotional service, the highest mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. Imagine. Adi Lila, chapter 3, verse 10. At the end of the Dwapara Yuga, of the 28th Divya Yuga, this is all in the life of Lord Brahma. He lived such a long time. Lord Krishna appears on earth. This is once in this tremendous cycle of billions and trillions of years. At the end of the Dwapara Yuga of the 28th Divya Yuga, Lord Krishna appears on earth with the full paraphernalia of his eternal Vrajadam. That Lord Krishna comes to the earth planet, and with his whole Krishna Loka assembly, with all of his associates, and as he exists in the spiritual world in Krishna Loka, and he can. Text number 11, chapter 3. Servitude, friendship, parental affection, conjugal love. These are the 4 transcendental mellows. He's describing what goes on in Krishna Loka. That he's saying that he comes with all of his associates, and then he describes how the different ones relate to him. Servitude, friendship. Krishna has so many friends. Parental affection. Yeah, not only Mother Jashoda, but the other elderly residents of Vrindavan, they have this feeling. And Krishna's doing mischief, stealing their yogurt and their butter. And they're going to Mother Jashoda and they're saying, your boy is very naughty. These are the 4 transcendental mellows or rasas. But now the next sentence is, by the devotees who cherish these 4 mellows, in other words, by the devotees who are having these feelings of love for Krishna in this way, forgetting that he's God altogether. He says, Lord Krishna is subdued. In other words, he's conquered by this kind of love. He wants it. He enjoys it. He's subdued. He's captivated by being loved in this way. Check 12. Absorbed in such transcendental love, Lord Krishna enjoys in Vraja with his devoted servants, friends, parents, and conjugal lovers. Lord Krishna enjoys his transcendental pastime like this as long as he wishes. That's when he comes to earth. He comes to earth with all of these associates and he enjoys their love like this. And it says Lord Krishna enjoys his transcendental pastimes in Vrindavan and in India as long as he wishes. And then he disappears. And after disappearing, however, he starts to think within himself. He thinks thus, and this is what Krishna is thinking. He said, Krishna is thinking, and Krishna's Kaviraj is telling us what's on his mind. And here's what Krishna thinks. Text 14. Oh, for a long time, I have not bestowed this unalloyed, loving service to me upon the inhabitants of the world. Without such loving attachment, actually the existence of the material world is useless. As Krishna is thinking, I haven't given this kind of love to the material world, and without it, that what's the use of having this material world altogether if I can't share this with the people there? Text 15. Everywhere in the world, people worship me according to scriptural injunctions. They're following so many rules and regulations. But simply by following such regulative principles, Krishna thinks, one cannot attain the loving sentiments of the devotees of Brajabhumi. Krishna is saying that you can that the Vedic literatures and all the other scriptures, there's the Ten Commandments and there's the rules in the Muslim religion. Every religion has so many rules, but Krishna is thinking, everywhere in the world, people worship me according to these scriptural injunctions, but simply by following such regulative principles, one cannot attain the loving sentiments of the devotees of Brajabhumi. We can keep all the rules until we're blue in the face, or for a million lifetimes, but it'll never enable us to feel this kind of love for Krishna that Krishna really enjoys. Then Krishna explains, by performing. So what happens to all these people who follow all these rules, who keep all the scriptural injunctions? Krishna says, text number 16. Knowing my opulences, the whole world, no, not yet, the whole world looks upon me with awe and veneration. God is so great. But devotion made feeble by such reverence does not attract me. Krishna says that all this great respect and reverence, it makes the devotion less powerful and it doesn't attract him. Imagine Krishna is saying, by text 17, by performing such regulated devotional service in awe and veneration, one may go to Vaikuntha and attain the 4 kinds of liberation. You can have the opulence of Krishna, you can have a form similar to Krishna. Everyone in Vaikuntha to Lord Vishnu. Everyone in Vaikuntha has four arms like Lord Vishnu. And that way, there are different kinds, four kinds.
Ishan Prabhu,
Yeah,
can I just ask you a quick question? I don't want to interrupt you, but because a couple of these last tests, it said how, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now speaking, and he's saying doesn't satisfy me. So that's me. That me is
that's
as
Krishna.
Chaitanya, as Krishna.
No, that's Krishna before
Right,
he comes as Lord Chaitanya.
right. So that does it
That's
mean?
he's explaining why he does come as Lord
Right.
Chaitanya.
So
Because
is it the right understanding to say that, but Lord Narayan or Vishnu is satisfied by such awe and reverence and
of
veneration because he
course,
is Vasa.
of
Okay.
course, he exchanges in that way, and it's not that he rejects, but it's not as sweet as what in that form that Krishna wants. So he says, by performing such regulated devotional service and on veneration, one may go to Vaikuntha and attain the four kinds of liberation. And 18, these liberations are sarshti, achieving opulence equal to those of the Lord, sarupya, having a form the same as the Lord, samipya, living as a personal associate of the Lord, and salokya, living on a Vaikuntha planet. Of course, real devotees, Krishna Das that continues, never accept sayuja, which is, sin merging into becoming one and feeling that we're all God. A devotee doesn't want to become God. A devotee wants to be the servant of God. Then Krishna says, I shall personally inaugurate the religion of the age, this Nama Samkirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy name. I shall make the whole world dance in ecstasy, realizing the four mellows of devotional service. So Krishna is thinking, I'm going to go down and I'm going to make everybody understand what it's like, the way they love me in Krishna Loka, uh, and how he's going to do it through the chanting of the holy name. Of course, the holy name has to be learned how to chant the holy name from somebody who is a pure devotee and who's chanting the holy name in great love. He said there's one verse, there's explained in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 18, that Srila Prabhupada said the process is that the spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master, chants the holy name, and the sound vibration enters the ear of the disciple. And if the disciple can chant with the same feeling, that becomes the real worship of the holy name. So we have to learn from someone who has this. So I'll continue. So Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna says, I will personally inaugurate the religion of the age, this Nama Sankirtan, by the congregational chanting of the holy name. I'll make the world dance in ecstasy, while they're realizing the four mellows of loving devotional service, to be Krishna's servant, just like Raktak is one of Krishna's personal servants in Vrindavan. Krishna needs to get dressed in the morning, and he needs to have his bath in the morning, things like this. and he had so many servants helping him like that. Then Krishna says how he's going to do it, how he's going to teach, how is he going to teach these feelings to the people of the planet, of the world. He said, I shall accept the role of a devotee and I'll teach this devotional service. How? By practicing it myself. He teaches devotional service by practicing it himself. Just like if you go to a music teacher and you play the composition that's written on the page, but your feeling is not quite right, then the music teacher says, no, just listen. Stop playing for a minute. Just listen. And the music teacher plays it with the most beautiful feeling. He said, now play it like that. That's how Lord Chaitanya is teaching love of Krishna. He's teaching it by doing it, practicing it himself, and he's sharing his feelings with others. There's so many descriptions in the different books of Chaitanya Leela that again and again are repeating that when people experience Lord Chaitanya's feelings, they were overwhelmed like that, or Lord Nityananda's feeling. It would take, hello? Yes. So then he says, then Krishna says, he explained, unless one practices devotional service himself, unless one is feeling these things, these emotions, he cannot teach it to others. So this is the qualification of the real guru. The Lord Chaitanya, Krishna is thinking to himself, I shall accept the role of a devotee, and in this way I shall teach devotional service by practicing these feelings myself. Unless one practices this devotional service himself, he can't teach it to others. The conclusion is indeed confirmed throughout the Gita and the Bhagavatam. Krishna is thinking like this. Unless one, he says, that's what he says, Tadvidi pranipatena in Bhagavad Gita, right? Paraprashnena sevaya upadekyanti te jnanam jnaninas tadvidi. Jnaninas tattvadarshanaha. That a tattvadarshi is someone who has an intimate relationship, the darshan of Krishna. The pure devotee has the darshan of Krishna. He said, you find a spiritual master who has my darshan, and you become very submissive to him. And he can share this knowledge of Krishna with you because he has seen the truth. That's what he's saying. You find a spiritual master who's my intimate associate, who has this love for me, and because he has this love for me, he can share it with you. That's it. So Krishna is saying, unless one practices devotional service himself, he can't teach it to others. This conclusion is indeed confirmed, Krishna says, throughout the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. They're saying that this is how you learn about what love of God is. You have to know someone who has love of God. And you don't catch it by their intellectual or conceptual instruction. You catch it like you catch a cold from someone who has a cold. It's Srila Prabhupada actually writes that in 1.5.25 of Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, 25th verse, purport. Pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as an infectious disease. He said that. You have to catch it from someone who has it. And that's the only way to develop love of God. That's very amazing. And then Srila Prabhupada becomes more specific. He elaborates in that point. He says, infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of devotion, the feeling, the flavor, in the association of the pure devotee. He goes on to explain that by the end of the purport, 1525, Srila Prabhupada says that one begins to, by associating with the pure devotee, one begins to have spiritual feeling. It goes in stages. The first one stage is that he gets a little taste and his material tastes go away. The next stage, he begins to have spiritual feelings. The next stage, it goes on until he has love and real love of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says, and what happens? And he says, how does it happen? All of these stages, says that the neophyte, Srila Prabhupada writes, at first, and he said, this is not for advanced devotee. It starts in the neophyte stage. Actually, it's explained in the 11th in the 10th canto purport that which I'll read a little later, that diksha or initiation, Srila Prabhupada says, when one is first becoming initiation is the beginning of a heart-to-heart relationship with the pure devotee, spiritual master. So you begin to understand his heart. When you have a loving relationship with someone, you start to understand how they feel. So Krishna is saying, thinking to himself, well, I shall accept the role of a devotee, text number 20, chapter 3, and I'll teach devotional service by practicing it. That's how I'll teach it, by being like that, text 21. Because unless one practices devotional service himself, he can't teach it to others. This same understanding is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. You have to go Tattvadarshanaha. You have to approach the Tattvadarshi, the one who has this love of Krishna, by inquiry, submission, and service. And what is the inquiry? What is this love of Krishna? Submission means that I open my heart enough to feel what he's feeling. And service means that I begin to engage in Krishna activities with those feelings in my heart that he's my teacher and I'm his apprentice. He's teaching me how to feel. He's not teaching me as Srila Prabhupada is an apprenticeship program, Krishna consciousness. He's not teaching me how to lay bricks or fix electrical wiring. He's teaching me how to feel love. It's an apprenticeship program. And Krishna thinks further. My plenary portion, the different Vishnu forms of Lord Vishnu, etc. All the different, the different avatars, Ram, Nisringa, Varaha. It's Lord Krishna takes so many forms. My plenary portions can establish the principles of religion for each age. You know, there's a different process in each age: meditation, temple worship, etc. You know, my plenary portions can establish that Krishna is still thinking to himself, my plenary portions, they can establish the principles of religion for each age. No one but me, however. Krishna is thinking, no one but him personally can bestow the kind of loving service performed by the residents of Braja. Now, that's amazing. No one but Krishna himself can share the feelings that of love of Krishna that exists in Krishna Loka. There are all these different incarnations. My plenary portions can establish the principles of religion for each age. No one but me, however, can bestow the kind of loving service performed by the residents of Braja. Strikes 27. There may be many all auspicious incarnations of the personality of Godhead, but who other than Lord Sri Krishna can bestow love of God upon the surrendered souls? Krishna does his thing. Therefore, Krishna continues, therefore, in the company of my devotees, I shall appear on earth and perform various colorful pastimes. He's going to come. Thus thinking, so that this Lord Krishna is thinking, he's going to come down from this Krishna Loka with his whole family, with all of his associates, and he's going to, like a movie, he's going to portray what life is like in Krishna Loka, just like watching a movie. Therefore, in the company of my devotees, I shall appear on earth, and I'll perform various colorful pastimes. Thinking thus, text 29, the personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, he descended at Nadia early in the age of Kali. Comment. This is a comment that occurred to me. There are verses and purports in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in which it's explained that Lord Chaitanya, when he appeared, he couldn't be well, he can, but he wasn't everywhere at once. So what he did was he saturated the hearts of some of his pure devotees with the love that he has for Krishna, so that his pure devotees can share this same love of Krishna in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan with us. He can share these pure devotees of Krishna. He saturates them. There are different verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita where this is explained by Krishnadas Kaviraj. So this is Lord Krishna. He's thinking I'll appear in the form of a devotee, and and with my associates, and I'll have all these pastimes in which I'll share this love of Krishna. And then now we go to chapter 1 in Adi Lila, and Krishnadas Kaviraj says, one should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Can you imagine how we should be seeing Srila Prabhupada? One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. We don't think of him we don't think he is Krishna, but we honor him as much as, like we sing every morning, Shakshara Ritvina Samasta Shastra. Because we honor him as much as the Supreme Lord, because he's the most confidential lover of the Supreme Lord. The verse continues, Lord Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. In other words, Krishna appears before us as the bona fide spiritual master, the Acharya, the one who, the Tattvadarshi, the one who has the darshan of Krishna, 724, always alive in his heart. Srila Prabhupada explains that it's like having a television set in your heart, in which all the activities of Vrindavan are going on, but you don't only just watch, but it's interactive. You enter into it's like a video game. You don't only watch what's going on, but you become a player. And this is going on in the heart of a real devotee. So here's an excerpt from the purport to Adi Lila, chapter 1, verse 47. There are two kinds of instructing spiritual masters, okay? One is the liberated person who's fully absorbed in meditation, in devotional service. One kind of spiritual master is feeling all these devotional feelings for Krishna. He's absorbed in internal meditation. That's one kind of a spiritual master. There are two kinds of instruction. And the other is he who invokes the disciple's spiritual consciousness by means of relevant instruction. So there's two kinds. So thus, the instructions in the science of devotion are differentiated in terms of the objective and subjective ways of understanding. The Acharya in the true sense of the term. Srila Prabhupada's explaining the Acharya in the true sense of the term, who is authorized to deliver Krishna to us, who is authorized to deliver. He enriches the disciple with full spiritual knowledge and awakens him to the activities of devotional service. So what Srila Prabhupada is explaining, based on this verse by Krishna Das in Chaitanya Charitamrita, one should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. And then Srila Prabhupada says there's two kinds of spiritual masters that instruct. One gives us concepts, and the other gives us the feeling of love of Krishna. One is called objective instruction, and the other is subjective instruction. He's teaching us how to feel, subjective, right? The real spirit.
Sorry,
Yeah,
because you've mentioned this so many times before, and it seems like two separate gurus. Why can't it be one also? Can it be
it
one guru
can,
doing both?
yes, of course it is.
Okay.
Actually, and so 99.9% of Srila Prabhupada's lectures, it's all objective instruction, conceptual, what we call sambandha. You're not this body, you're an eternal spirit soul. We have an eternal relationship with Krishna, of devotional service towards. This is all what is the Maya of this material world. We have this false ego, this false sense of who I am, this is all objective instruction. But at the beginning of every class, what happened? If you watch closely, you'll see Srila Prabhupada's face as he sings. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. He's sharing his heart, but we have to be looking for that. If we're looking for it enough, we'll begin to feel what he's feeling. So he's doing both. He's doing that, and then he's talking about it objectively. So it says the Acharya, in the true sense of the term, who's authorized to deliver Krishna to us, Srila Prabhupada said, he enriches the disciple with full spiritual knowledge, and this way awakens him to the activities of devotional service. So let's talk about this subject of enrichment. He says the real Acharya enriches. Now let's go to the Krishna book, chapter 34. The gopis' feelings of separation. This is a small part from the beginning of this chapter. When Krishna went to the forest with his cowherd boyfriends and cows, the gopis didn't physically take part. In other words, they stayed at home when Krishna goes to the forest with his cowherd boyfriends and his cows. The gopis don't go with him. They have their duties at home. Maybe they're making butter, maybe so many things. The gopis did not physically take part, but their hearts went with him. They're thinking of Krishna in the forest as he's in the forest with his friends, taking care of the cows. And because their hearts went, they were able to enjoy his company through strong feelings of separation. See, this is what Lord Chaitanya is teaching. This separation, because feeling separation from Krishna with a yearning in the heart is as good or even better, vipralamba seva. It's even stronger, the ecstasy, than being with Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya is always in the mood of separation. And then when Krishna left Vrindavan with Akrura, King Kamsa invited him to come to the sacrificial arena, and he had all these wrestlers, and he was going to have making like it's going to be some kind of celebration, and we'll have a wrestling match. It'll be fun. But his plan was that these wrestlers would kill Krishna. So when Krishna went, the Akrura came and took Krishna away from Vrindavan in a chariot. The gopis were standing and they couldn't believe Krishna's going away. And the whole Rath Yatra festival is in the mood of taking Krishna back to Vrindavan. That's all. The residents of Vrindavan, they met Krishna at Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse. And they said, oh, it's very nice to see Krishna here. He's dressed like a king, and he's surrounded by all his servants from the court, and he's in royal dress. But Srimati Radharani saying, but I want to take my Krishna back to Vrindavan. And this is why Lord Chaitanya is dancing in ecstasy in the Rath Yatra festival. Now I'm taking the Lord of my heart back to Vrindavan. So, because Srila Prabhupada's explaining, because the gopis' hearts went with him when Krishna was to the forest with his cows and her boyfriend, they're able to enjoy his company through these strong feelings of separation. To acquire, now check this out, to acquire this strong feeling of separation is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya. And not only Lord Chaitanya, and his direct disciplic succession. This is what our disciplic succession is sharing with us, these feelings, this mood of wanting to be with Krishna. Okay. Srila Prabhupada continues in chapter 34. It is stated, we're talking about how the spiritual master enriches us. To acquire this strong feeling of separation is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya and his direct disciplic succession. It's stated in Srinivasacharya's prayers to the 6 Goswamis, Bande Rupa Sanatano Raguya Goshri Chiva Gopal. They were so much enriched. There's that word again. They're enriched. Just like you buy some flour at the store for making chapatis. But there's plain flour, but there's enriched. It has a certain ingredient that they add, whatever it is. In the same way, the disciplic succession, they want to enrich our hearts with these devotional feelings. It's stated in Srinivasacharya's prayer to the 6 Goswamis that they were so enriched with the gopis' feelings of separation that they enjoyed transcendental pleasure at every moment. In the material world, when you miss something or somebody, you don't have it. But when you're in the spiritual world, when you long for something that you don't have, you feel its presence by virtue of that longing. They were so much enriched with the gopis of feelings of separation. They were feeling this separation from Krishna, but that they enjoyed transcendental pleasure. There's a pleasure of longing for Krishna at every moment. Similarly, when Lord Chaitanya was at Jagannath Puri, he was in this role of Radharani, feeling the separation of Krishna. And those who are in now check this, those who are in the disciplic succession of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, that's us, should also feel the separation of Krishna. The spiritual masters should enrich the devotees to the highest devotional perfection. How do we how do we feel the separation of Krishna? The spiritual masters enrich us with the feeling constant separation while engaged in the service of the Lord is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. So all these things are there in our books. So let's go how do we become enriched with the devotional love of Krishna and feelings of separation? How do we become enriched? How do we catch it? Then we go to 1.5.25 of Bhagavatam. 1.5.20. Pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as an infectious disease. You can't teach, in other words, Krishna consciousness can't be taught. Krishna consciousness has to be caught. Just like you catch a disease from someone who has a disease. Pure devotion is as infectious, as much infectious in a good sense, not in a bad sense, like in a disease. In a good sense, as an infectious disease. A pure devotee, he's cleared from all kinds of sins. In other words, he doesn't have anything in his heart other than a desire for Krishna. Continues, the personality of Godhead, he's the purest, and unless one is equally pure from the infection of material quality, one can't become a pure devotee. As long as we, in other words, as long as we have material desire in our heart, we can't have this connection with Krishna. So how do we get rid of this material desire in our heart? That's the first stage of having our spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada is explaining, there are many things which hinder one from entering devotional service, all kinds of material desires. But by the association of the pure devotee, these obstacles are removed. What happens? What happens? We sing every morning, Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite Avidya Vinashayate. That from him this love of Krishna emanates like heat and light emanate from the sun. And if we can catch it, Avidya Vinashayate. What does he say? By the association of the pure devotee, these obstacles are removed. Because when they filling up with love for Krishna, you don't have love of Maya. Right? So the neophyte, now this is saying that we're not talking about advanced Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said, the neophyte becomes enriched. There's this word enriched again, with the transcendental qualities of the pure devotee. Just like a person goes to the Conservatory of Music and goes through the whole program, and he can play every exercise in the book perfectly by heart with his eyes closed. But after he leaves the conservatory, he starts looking for a teacher. He doesn't need to learn the exercises. He wants the feeling. He wants to feel somebody who has who learned from a teacher, who learned from a teacher, who learned from a teacher, who was in touch with Mozart. So he can start to play with the feeling of Mozart. That's a disciplic succession, delivering the feeling. So he says, there are many things he's talking. He says we have to be completely purified of all material desire before we can associate. But by the association of the pure devotee, these obstacles are removed. The neophyte devotee becomes practically enriched with the transcendental qualities of the pure devotee, which means attraction for the personality of Godhead. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means what? To imbibe the taste of pure devotion. And this taste makes all material things distasteful. And this is the secret of anartha nivritti. It's not written here, but this is the meaning of anartha nivritti. Not that I by force, by my determination, I'm going to stop wanting this and stop wanting that, desiring this and desiring that. But if I get the taste of devotion, he says, this makes transcendental taste. It makes all material things distasteful. Then this is the elimination of the unwanted things that block us from going forward. So by getting this taste, the other tastes go away, material tastes go away. So then Srila Prabhupada says, when they go away, in other words, quote, after the elimination of all sins, or obstacles on the path, one can become attracted, Srila Prabhupada said. One can have steadiness. One can have perfect taste. One can have transcendental emotion. And at last, one can be situated on the plane of loving service of the Lord. Unless this is now the last sentence in this purport. All of these stages, beginning from Anartha Nivritti, all of these stages develop by the association of the pure devotees. And that is the purport of this stanza. So this is the process of enrichment that the spirit is enriched. This is the process of enrichment. So let's consider some conclusions. By talking about these things doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight, but at least we have, it's just, what do they call that? The device by which people navigate, GPS. Is it called GPS? You have a little instrument. It tells you how to get from here to there.
Yes, GPS.
Yeah. So doesn't mean we're going to be there immediately, but at least we have a sense of direction, how this process works. For those who want to know how this process works. we can do everything, and what Srila Prabhupada says sardonically, sarcastically, oh, I'm following the formula. He uses this word, the formula. I have this checklist of do's and don'ts, and I'm doing this every day. I'm following the formula. One day the bolt of lightning is going to come from Krishna Loka and hit me, and I'll have love of God by following the formula. He said, and he uses the word mechanical. He said, it's not a mechanical process that I do everything right and one day I'm going to have love of Krishna. This is the form, following the formula. Now he says, that's niyamagraha. That's missing the point. Doing everything correct, but missing the whole. What are these activities? These activities that we do in sadhana bhakti and other practical service, they're the medium through which we cultivate the feelings that we imbibe from someone from the tattvadarshi, tattvadarshana. You become submissive to him, feel his feelings, and said what he says in Bhakti Vinod praise in our songbook. I offer you all respect, for thus I may have the energy by which I can understand your heart. Then by chanting the holy name in great ecstasy, then all my offenses will cease. That's what we're talking about. That when we imbibe the taste of his devotion, when we become infected with his devotion, our devotion to our body, mind, and senses will stop. So then this process of enrichment, all these stages developed by the association of the pure devotee, this infection, this imbibing the taste, and that is the purport of it. This is in the first canto. This is in the first canto. He's telling us, Srila Prabhupada is telling us that we have to approach, and it's in the Bhagavad Gita. Tadvidi pranipatena, you take shelter of his lotus feet, paraprashna, and become very submissive. Because tattvadarshanaha, because he has the association he has Krishna's darshan of the tattva, of the supreme absolute truth, tattvadarshi. You should become submissive to him, and you can learn from him because he has seen the truth. So he said, so this is in Bhagavad Gita. This is in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. So let's consider some. So it doesn't mean that by talking about it, we can immediately start falling on the floor. We can, it means that we have us understand what is offered to us, and we understand what we have to do in order to get it. We have to. Here's some of the conclusions from this talk. One spiritual master must be a topmost pure devotee of the Lord, so the disciple can begin to receive this subjective instruction. A person who doesn't have this love of Krishna, he can't share it with anybody. He can give us the concepts, but he can't enrich us. We can't catch it from him. So the pure spiritual master has to be a pure devotee. That's one thing. So people should understand that. He may be a very nice man. He may be very sincere, trying to follow Srila Prabhupada, but if he's not on that platform yet. So another conclusion, in order to receive this subjective instruction by which the disciple, subjective instruction means learning how to feel, by which the disciple can become enriched with the devotional qualities of the bona fide spiritual master, the disciple must cultivate an intimate transcendental relationship with the pure devotee spiritual master, which enables him to imbibe the taste of pure devotion, like Bhaktivinoda's prayer. I offer you all respect, for thus I may have the energy by which I can understand you. Then I can chant the holy name with these feelings. And when I do, and that's all my offenses will cease. When we catch prema bhakti, from him this love of Krishna emanates. And if we can catch it, it's like when we turn on the light, the darkness is gone. When we have love of Krishna in our heart, we won't have love of Maya. So in order to receive this, we have to have a very intimate relationship with that bona fide spiritual master, thereby becoming infected with the devotional qualities of the pure devotee. And the last conclusion that I have noted is this engagement in devotional service. This is what it means to engage in devotional service in the association of the pure devotee. This is what it means to engage in devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. He lives forever by his divine instruction, and the follower lives with him. We have to remember that his instruction includes everything we're talking about, not just a checklist of do's and don'ts. Yes, by following his instructions, we're with him, but these are his instructions, not just the mechanical part, but the subjective instruction. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in his purport to verse 18 of chapter 2 in the 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada describes this intimate relationship between the pure devotee and a sincere disciple that enables this process of subjective instruction. I'll read it. Quote, 10th canto, yes. As indicated here by the word manashta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was transferred from the core of Vasudev's mind to the heart, from the core, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was transferred from the core of Vasudev's mind or heart to the core of the heart of Devaki. This is how Krishna came into Devaki's womb to appear on the planet. He came from Vasudev's heart to Devaki's heart. It was transferred from the core. The personality was transferred from the core of Vasudev's heart to the core of the heart of Devaki. We should note carefully that the Lord was transferred to Devaki not by ordinary way for a human being, but how? By diksha, by initiation. Thus, the importance of initiation is mentioned here. So, real initiation means that Krishna is transferred from Srila Prabhupada's heart to our heart. Thus, the importance of initiation is, unless one is initiated by the right person. What is the right? Who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. The Supreme Lord's entrance into the heart of Devaki was a heart-to-heart relationship. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining this is Diksha, is the beginning of a heart-to-heart relationship. So you can understand his heart. We're not saying that by explaining this that everybody's going to immediately fall down on the ground and roll in ecstasy, but let's have an understanding of the process of why Lord Chaitanya is distributing this love of Krishna, what no other incarnation has ever offered before. He's distributing it freely. So why don't we have it? Why don't I have it? So we have to have a GPS, understand how we have it, not by following, quote, the formula, by mechanically, quote, following, quote, the formula, niyam agra, but by entering into a relationship in which I can receive subjective instruction from my spiritual master, who's a Tattvadarshi, who has the darshan of Krishna, who always has Krishna within his heart. Here it says, unless one is initiated by the person who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. Because we have to have because he's sharing his Krishna consciousness with us. So what we're trying to do in this talk is to describe the process by which we become devotees. And it means we have to come closer, not just, oh, he gave me this instruction, and now I'm following all these instructions. The formula, Srila Prabhupada said. Not a question of following a formula. Although one can go to Vaikuntha by being sadhana siddhi. But to go to Krishna Loka, one has to have this intimate relationship with someone who carrying within his heart the melos or rasas, the flavors of love of Krishna that exist in Krishna Loka. That's what Lord Chaitanya is sharing through the disciplic succession. This is the process by which we can receive Lord Chaitanya's mercy As Srila Prabhupada said, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Isham Prabhu.
How long have we taken for this class?
About an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, good. See, I'm trying to speak less long. Too long. It's too long. Srila Prabhupada would talk maybe 45 minutes, maybe sometimes a little.
Are you good for questions?
Okay. But if someone has a question, it's okay. But
Yeah.
not for someone to come on and tell us his life story and his point of view. Question is question.
Yeah. So I'm having trouble actually, because what I see Srila Prabhupada is he's saying to us, okay, come, surrender to Krishna, serve Krishna, and your love for Krishna will reawaken your original love. And he doesn't say to me or to others, come and sit in front of the deity and chant 12 hours a day or think of Krishna 12 hours a day. He wants that, of course, but he knows we can't do it. And I can't do it. So he says, okay, now, because you don't have the mode of goodness or transcendental mode of goodness to do that, here are physical activities to engage your passionate mind and body in that will be classed and accepted as service. Go and bring water for Krishna, go and bathe Krishna, distribute a book for Krishna, cook for Krishna, talk to somebody about Krishna. So we are given physical activities by which to actually both clean our heart and promote a relationship between us and Krishna and us and Prabhupada. So now you're saying many times, as many times I've participated in this class, that which I fully agree with, we need to develop a deeper relationship with Prabhupada, a more personal relationship with Prabhupada. Okay, great. But I can't sit in front of Prabhupada and just look at him and chant to him all day or talk to him all day. I'm very passionate, I'm very ignorant. So question is, are there activities to do, like Prabhupada gives us activities to do for Krishna, that promote more Prabhupada consciousness?
Say that again.
Otherwise, I don't get it.
Say that again. Are there, say that sentence again, last sentence.
Still, believe it or not, and be shocked, but I am stupid. I'll tell the public world.
No, you're very beautiful.
No. But up to now, I still don't know what actually I should do.
Yeah.
To promote a more loving relationship, personal loving relationship between me and Prabhupada, other than the instruction he gives all of us generally, which is preach, go out, deity worship, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. So one can get, you're in the army or whatever, and you get these instructions, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you go and do them, but you don't take the person with you. So, but Srila Prabhupada's a transcendental person. It means he's all pervasive. So we have to play the game. Just like a little boy has an imaginary friend. And he's 5 years old and he's talking with his imaginary friend. Now we're going to take a bath. Mommy said we should take a bath. Come on, let's jump in the bathtub together. And or Mommy says, now I should put away all my toys. Let's put away all my toys. He has an imaginary friend. But for him, it's real. Then as he starts to become from 5 years old or 4 years old to 6 years old, his mother says, now, Tommy, what was your name before you were Balaram?
Noddy.
What?
Nureddin. My original Arabic name is Nureddin.
Okay, Nureddin?
Yeah.
Nureddin.
Yeah.
He said, All right, Naradine, you're 6 years old now. It's time to give up this. Your imaginary friend is not really there. You have to live in the real world, or as my parents would say, come down to earth. you know, get your feet on the ground. So that, but for him, so there's two ways of doing what he's supposed to do: take the bath, or put away his toys, or now get dressed for supper, or don't eat with your fingers, use the fork. There's two there's two ways of using the fork. One is to say, be obedient and do it, and the other is to say to his imaginary friend, Mommy says, Naradine, use a fork, so let's use our forks. He says to his imaginary friend. So one person is doing everything right, and the other person is doing it in association with his friend. But Srila Prabhupada's not an imaginary friend; he's our real friend. So we start being like a child. We start associating with Srila Prabhupada. And what happens? We start sharing our mind with Srila Prabhupada. Oh, I'm so tired. I just feel like Srila Prabhupada. I just feel like lying down now and not chanting my japa. He said, Srila Prabhupada. We say, oh, I feel so tired, Srila Prabhupada. Or Srila Prabhupada, I don't understand. How do I get closer to you? Please give me the intelligence. So now I'm putting on my shoes to go outside or to do my daily. Srila Prabhupada, we're going out now to the car. Now we're driving the car to the job. Srila Prabhupada's in the seat beside me. Look, Srila Prabhupada, at all the people in the marketplace. Look, Srila Prabhupada, all these people are in Maya. And you're wanting to share this knowledge with everybody. Yeah, you have this imaginary friend, but he's real. and but to understand, but the relationship is transcendental beyond time and space, so you can be with Srila Prabhupada whenever you want. But you have to have the ability to try it on for size. And the more you do it, the more we act as if we are with Srila Prabhupada. Oh, I should drive the car very nicely because Srila Prabhupada's in the car. I'm going to my, look, Srila Prabhupada, are you enjoying the ride? Should I go faster, slower? You're carrying on this, you're cultivating a relationship with him. It doesn't matter if you're chanting japa or driving a car or washing the dishes. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, look, you can preach to Srila Prabhupada. Say, this looks like a material dish, Srila Prabhupada, you say to him while you're washing the dishes. And you say, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna is present within every atom in this dish. And between every atom in this dish. And this dish is Krishna's energy. Srila Prabhupada, this is amazing. I'm holding Krishna in my hand. Please help me to understand these things. Please help me to be Krishna conscious. Because then, so you just have to be childlike enough to begin. And the more you do it, the more we do it with sincerity, it means it's called like a leap of faith. It means I don't have the experience yet, but I'm acting as if I do. And when I act as if I do, I realize that it's real because I start to feel the book called The Nectar of Devotion means as much as I have this feeling that it's real, I feel the devotion. And that proves to me that it's real. Otherwise, it's called blind following. He says in Tadvidi Pranipatena, and that 434, he says, blind following is useless. but one should have this living relationship. So how do we enter into the living relationship? We enter into the living relationship by entering into it. How do we enter into a living relationship with Srila Prabhupada? We enter into a living relationship with Srila Prabhupada by entering into a living relationship with Srila Prabhupada. And the more we do it, we start to feel his presence and his love. He reveals it to us. He reveals it himself to us. We start to feel his presence. Oh, that's called the nectar that one feels when they're devotional. It's called the nectar of devotion. It's not that I do all these things and one day I'll feel nectar. It's that when I do them in a personal way, I experience the nectar of being that way. It's called the nectar of devotion. So it becomes, it's very, very simple, but we have to become childlike and accept that this is the Sri Krishna consciousness is only a question of understanding and accepting, quote unquote. So real acceptance is not accepting the concept, it's accepting the reality of it. That I can have a transcendental relationship. So one can start anywhere. Actually, we should always be with Srila Prabhupada because we're always with the Paramatma who's in our heart. Krishna's with us within our heart, but we're not aware. But Srila Prabhupada is the external manifestation of the Lord in the heart. So we can always be in touch with the Lord in the heart by having a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada says that there's two birds within the tree, and one is the spirit soul, the tree of the body, and one is the Lord. And he's only waiting for us to turn to him. He's the witnessing bird is waiting for the bird that's eating the fruits of the tree to turn to him. So this is turning to him. We have to become accepted as a reality. It's only a question of understanding and accepting. So acceptance means not accepting the philosophy. The Sambandha is the start, but now of applying it, taking it as a reality, cultivating. It's only a question of understanding, accepting. And Srila Prabhupada says one can do it in a second. And then he says it's simple for the simple. So we have to become simple like little children and embrace this as a reality and practice it. And anybody can do that. Except the person who's a big intellectual. He may have a problem because he's living in his head, not in his heart.
I mean, am I right in saying it seems like what Srila Prabhupada is actually already teaching us Krishna conscious, to be Krishna conscious, do the deity worship, book distribution, clean the temple, build the temple, do it
He
while
explained,
thinking of Krishna, do it for Krishna. That means thinking at the time when you're doing it, this is for Krishna, exactly what you seem like what you just explained. So basically,
yeah,
we're applying the same science, the same system to be Krishna conscious, but to be Prabhupada conscious also.
it's like having the flour for making chapatis, but having it enriched with an ingredient. It's doing all the same activities, but having it enriched, that the closer we get to Srila Prabhupada, the more we'll feel his feelings. It's like, what was that came to mind?
I mean, it seems like the same thing.
In physics. I took physics in university. If you put a piece of metal near a magnet, the other piece of metal, not the magnet, it picks up the charge of the magnet. It's called induction. when we, whatever you associate with, why Srila Prabhupada said, if you associate with drunkards, you become like a drunkard. You start to develop their feelings, their moods, their attitudes. If you
Yeah.
associate with a devotee, you, so the reason for talking to Srila Prabhupada, sharing it says, dadati pratigranati. The process is you 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 express your heart to the other devotee, and he shares his heart with you. That's our relation. You offer him something, he offers you something. Uh, you offer him prasadam. We do these things with our spiritual master. So he says, no. So induction. It means that by developing this relationship with Srila Prabhupada, it's not that you're going to learn how to drive a car. When you're driving your car, not alone, you're driving your vehicle for trying to make it nice for Srila Prabhupada. What is the essence of it? It's that by being with him, pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as an infectious disease. That by being in touch with him, you start to get influenced by the way he feels. You start to feel what he reveals. He shares his feeling with us. You start to be influenced by his presence, by being with him in any way, by being with him, no matter what you're doing. You're walking, you're talking, you're driving the car, you're picking up a hammer or a shovel. You're with, because by associating with a pure devotee, by his presence, you're getting subjective instruction. Your subjective means you're learning to feel what he's feeling because you're submissive to his, you're catching it. You become enriched. You, instead of just being plain flour, you become enriched flour. Instead of doing mechanical activities, you enriching these activities with the feelings that you're learning from him. He's sharing his feelings with you. And anyone can do it. Anyone can, it's not, you don't have to worry about how do I get his feelings. You just have to worry about how do I practice, cultivate feeling close to him. You'll automatically catch it. You don't have to think about how to become infected with what's that disease that they're catching now all over them. You don't have to think, how do I catch COVID? You just have to associate with someone who has COVID. You'll get it.
Yeah.
Just to be with him, and you'll catch it. He says, because it's a pure devotion, it's as much infectious in a good sense as it's an infectious disease.
So can I just ask you, are we
Yeah.
talking, is it this same principle actually, how Krishna told Arjuna, Arjuna, you fight, but not just fight and forget me. While you're fighting, you have to remember me. So like fighting without remembering me is useless.
But Krishna was acting as Arjuna's spiritual master.
Yeah.
So we have our spiritual master.
Yeah, that's what
You
I'm saying.
fight, do your fight, and always remember me.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you can understand. Now, I shouldn't make this program too long. I've been talking with Ramchandra Prabhu, and also I have my wife.
All right, I understand. We understand.
She's my personal trainer is
Hare Krishna.
telling, but
Time up.
is it intelligible what I'm trying to share?
Yeah, I mean, if we just say
Those
simply that you do your activities and think of Prabhupada, you do your activities and think of Krishna.
not only think of, relate to.
Yeah,
Not
it was, yeah,
only remember him that he's somebody who was here on this planet, now he's dead, and he left these instructions. It, it's a transcendental relationship. Never walk alone, quote unquote. I don't know where that comes from, but it comes to mind.
I think,
Always be in his association.
yeah.
And and anyone can do this. It's the easiest part. Just be it's simple. No, it's the easy
Most
simple.
difficult.
No, simple for the simple. Don't be so too highly intelligent. Become simple like a child and begin to have a relationship with a real transcendental person who has come from the spiritual world, from Krishna Loka. And he's inviting you us to, and he's giving us all these instructions that I've been reading today
Yes.
to Diksha, to have a heart-to-heart relationship, uh, imbibe the taste of his devotion, become infected, associate. All these stages develop naturally when through the association. We have to associate with someone who's got it. Someone who's a Tattvadarshi. He has the darshan of Krishna. You catch it, you become enriched. You don't become just plain flour. You become enriched flour, enriched with the taste of his devotion.
Yes.
It's too simple. It's Hare
Simple,
Krishna.
but actually that's been the most difficult thing in people's lives. My
No,
Lord.
I think it's not difficult for them to do. It's that they haven't understood the philosophy yet. That this is what they have to do, and anyone can do it. So we associate with other devotees, our God brothers like you and me, and share this understanding that we're living with Srila Prabhupada. We encourage each other. If you talk to somebody, if you associate with devotees, and we're saying, just follow this formula, and one day the bolt of lightning will come from Krishna Loka, hit you in the backside, and you'll have devotional feeling. No, you want to associate more intimately with devotees who want to be more intimate with Srila Prabhupada. And we encourage each other, we remind each other. But they don't know the philosophy. Therefore, I'm getting my personal trainer. But they're not teaching this in the classes, Prabhu, because they haven't understood it. I'm being taken away. The hook is coming. Drag me off the stage. Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
See you next week, Tuesday.
All glories to our
Good
Srila
day. Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna. All glories to Prabhupada. Thank you for your
See,
wonderful association.
he's right here when we say that. We're
Jai.
hugging him. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, and we're hugging his feet.
Jai. At
Hare
least you
Krishna.
are.
No, no, you are. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm counting on your association.
I'm
Hare
counting on
Krishna.
yours.